Uh-oh. Pub is open. It's episode 149. So, if you watched the last one, you'll know what I'm about to do. Talk a little bit about some of the previous episodes and give some advice on the do's and don'ts of what you should do. Sort of recap the things that I did in previous episodes. So everybody's kind of back on the same page as we embark on this new chapter, which will be the next episode of NOLYB Band. So, first off, I don't remember all the numbers, but some of the most notable guests and live performances that we've had, like Waft and Ratstorm and Henry Leach, who actually one of the members got pissed off at us recording their set. Sorry, one out of 3 members ain't bad though. But anyway, excuse me. So it happens when you drink on set. But anyway, that particular show, that was one of the earlier Waft performances with a way different lineup than the current 4-piece that's getting a good bit of attention from like bands like Zayo, and they toured with a bunch of groups. I don't know, there's no time to go into all that, but I think they're on the radar of some pretty big labels at this point, if I may be so bold to speculate, along with bands like Worm, who Ian Nicks, the singer, vocalist, whatever you want to call it, Worm or Verm, again, whatever you want to call it. He was on an episode. That was a great one. The round table with so many different artists, one of the earliest episodes, episode 5, that was a monumental episode, I felt. It was, let me see, Ratchet Kills, Crosswords, Shadow, and the late Crocker, R.I.P. There was a couple other people out there as well. I think Hillary was out there, Hillary King. Some other ones. Comment if you remember. I didn't prepare. If you remember from previous audio podcasts, I did these on the fly. I didn't really do show notes. I did at the beginning, but it kind of made the show sort of stagnant, you know. And again, from last time I mentioned changing formats, I went more towards guests towards the middle of the show. But at the beginning, it was a lot of live performances, a lot of great Coffin Torture performances, like at the old radio room. There was a lot of great performances at the old radio room on Pleasantburg here in lovely Greenville, South Carolina, that likes to spend way too much money on things like parks and not enough money on things like better roads, bike lanes, homeless shelters, etc., etc. But that's a whole different episode. But that roundtable discussion about hip hop alone, that's crazy. Like, go back and listen to that. You'll hear how much the genre itself has changed just in the 6-year span that we've seen. And yeah, it's gonna be wild if you go back and listen to some of those old episodes. But we gave a lot of good advice, I feel, on previous episodes, and it's really some stuff that I've found that some people don't actually know now. It's been a few years, so it's time to update. So now we're doing it on video, so I'm going to get everybody up to speed. So hopefully we're kind of caught up for the video edition, the next chapter of NOLYB Band, which will start episode 150. So, first I just want to talk about Reverb Nation. No. Don't. Do not. Don't even, no. Nope. But, no, nope. Don't do it. Don't send the links. Don't put your music on there. Don't bother. There's no point, because 9 times out of 10, possibly even 10 times out of 10, Neither of the players on their page work. It just happens. I mean, sometimes I can get one to work, but most of the time, not. And everybody else I've talked to, whether they're a blogger, a full-time journalist, anybody, they'll tell you, Reverb Nation sucks. I do not even click on those links. Sorry if that's all you got. You need to change. You need to get on SoundCloud, Bandcamp, any other place. Have a YouTube channel. I mean, anything other than Reverb Nation. Sorry. It's basically like using MySpace. Would you send someone a MySpace link in 2018 and beyond? I hope not. Don't send people Reverb Nation links, please. And speaking of websites and dealing with things of that nature, as we all do, of course, like 23 out of 24 hours a day. But read the site, whether it's a blogger you're trying to send your music to, or an actual publication you're trying to get an interview with, or a venue that you're trying to get booked at. Don't be that band that's like, hey, can I book my 9-piece industrial swamp rock band at your hip hop venue? No, don't do that. Don't do that. Hey, we're a 6-piece symphonic black metal band. Can we do a show at this techno club, EDM club, whatever you want to call it? Probably not. If you feel particularly ambitious, that's on you, but you may be wasting your time in those scenarios. They probably will not be clicking on your message at all if it says in the subject line, black metal band from Lexington, Kentucky, or whatever. And this is like an indie rock venue in, you know, Georgia or whatever. They're probably gonna pass that over, unless they specifically say we book all kinds of music. But some places are very specific. A lot that really applies more to publications, I guess, because not everybody is going to cover every genre of music. Like, as far as around here in South Carolina and the sort of expanded region, I'm one of the few people who actually covered the independent music of all genres. They're all on the audio version of the podcast. Let me see. Other advice to give, you know, load in on time. Don't BS around and just leave the door open and not have your gear in there. Bring it in, have it off to wherever they like. Go in and ask, hey, where do you want my gear? If you don't already know, go ahead and bring it in, take it there. And then find out what position you are in the lineup. Pay attention to what bands are on. Okay, we're next. Don't let your bass player go off and get a sandwich right before you're about to do sound check. It happens. You deal with it. So, yeah, it really happened. It really happened. It made me crack up a little bit. I didn't plan to go there, but anyway, sorry. I was talking about loading in. Make sure you're like ready to go, and like, you know, if you can, tune up in the parking lot or off to, you know, some places are really nice and they have like an actual backstage area you can hang out in. Try to tune up there. There's no big deal if you want to just like, you know, make sure you're ready to go, but don't just while you're on stage. And here's a little tip: if you're going first, or if it's a small lineup, what you can do is put a curtain up in front of the stage, or as you set up your stuff, or dress very differently as you're setting up your stuff. And then when you actually come out on stage to play your songs, you'll look a little bit more professional. Or, you know, you can coordinate your outfits, things of that nature. That's a big one. People love that. Coordinated outfits, that's a nice one. Dress flashy, not too flashy. Don't look like, you know, make sure that it'll stand the test of time, basically, or that you can at least pull it off. Yeah, and loadout is the same thing, you know. Try to get on with it, and don't play too long. If you've got a huge catalog and it's all very quality material and people are really there to see you, yeah, play for a while. As long as, like, pay attention though, make sure everybody's still into it. Don't overstay your welcome. Play a little shorter than you normally would, maybe. Leave the crowd wanting more. That's a technique, a strategy that you can use, as it were. But yeah, just, you know, even if you don't want to be a professional musician at, you know, some grandiose level, it's always good on you to conduct yourself in the most professional way possible. Think about the shows that you've paid $20 to go see, like the really good ones. Because I've paid $20 to see some artists and they weren't that great. And I was like, damn, the local openers were actually better than the headliner. Yeah, happens. Happened in Spartanburg. You can ask me. I won't talk about it here. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. I could talk about this stuff like all day, but I'm trying to make these videos as close to 10 minutes as possible. And I wanted to leave with a sort of like mental health tip of the day. I can only speak from experience, of course. So what I found works for me personally is really sticking to a lot of things that sound pretty cliche, to be honest with you. Things like trying to eat right, getting a lot more exercise, that helps. Forcing yourself to exercise, forcing yourself to be positive, especially when things are crappy. A big thing that I'm into is mantras. I used to be skeptical. Now I'm a believer. Who knew? Anyway, a good time to do mantras is in traffic. And if you're from a congested area like we are here in Greenville, South Carolina, you know about waiting in traffic for a while. That's the best time to think positive things are going to happen. You know, things of that nature. Or, you know, focus on whatever positive mantra you can think of that applies to you personally, that feels good for you, that feels right for you. And focus on that. And yes, do it at the times that you really don't want to do it, especially at those times. And I guess that's pretty much really my tip for the day. I'm going to wrap up while this trash truck does its thing. Again, on cliches, there really is levels to this. You got to build up something from a very meager place. It'll be very hard to convince yourself to be positive. But as you keep doing it, your will to do it will get stronger. And you'll see the results. Cheers.